Hey folks, how's everyone doing out there? I'm here with Chris Woodruff, Woody, and we want to tell you about a thing that we and a whole bunch of other folks have been working on, which you can go and check out now. It's live, it's online, it's at usewhatworks.org. And this has basically come out of a whole bunch of conversation about sustainability in open source software.
There's these ideas around open source and around building stuff yourself. So that is the argument that we're trying to make, is take a look at what is out there in the open source community instead of building something from the ground up.
Now, this is something, it's a story that's very dear to my heart. The earlier part of my career, I was the developer, often in organizations that didn't have an architect and didn't have a tech lead. And, so I would build things. We'd need a login system. I'd build a login system. We need something to, orchestrate database connections. I would build that. I've built so many things. And there's often this process that I remember going through where you'd get the requirement, you'd figure out, okay, what do we need here? We need authentication, or we need some kind of logging infrastructure, or we need to manage virtual machines. And you'd look around, you'd be like, well, that one, there's a couple of things out there. Some of them, they have a learning curve with them. Some of them, they just look really complicated. There's a bunch of stuff we don't need. Some of them cost money, and that means that instead of writing code, I have to go and have a meeting about budgets. And so the tendency, at that stage was always, we can build this ourselves. And it feels like it's free, right? Because you're getting paid regardless, so it's not like there's another invoice going across anybody's desk. But then, over the course of my career, time after time, I realized that maybe was not the right thing to do. It worked, we got it out in a couple of weeks and it ran pretty well. But then the requirements creep and we need new stuff that one of those packages could have done out of the box if we'd adopted it. And it's fun building things. It's a nice way to learn how technology works. But, the learning curve associated with proven things, that teaches you stuff you get to take with you to your next gig, which you can't do with the homebrewed solutions because they're owned by the company that you're leaving. And when you do leave, suddenly they're like, oh no, we've got this login system and the only person who really understands us has just walked out the door. And so, as a developer, I definitely have come around over many decades to, no, don't, it's fun building stuff, but that is the wrong thing to do in so many situations.
It is. And I look at it from an architect standpoint, and man, I love developing stuff too. I love creating. I love taking my ideas and my team's ideas. But at some point, you just have to say, someone created something better, and we're going to use that. Like, would you ever create a database anymore from scratch? No, because there's already, it would take years to build a database. So I think you hit it on the head where you think you're saving time and you're saving money, but you're really not. You're adding a lot of tech debt, as we all say in the industry. So from an architecture standpoint, you have to take a look at the being, what I say, unsexy. Just bring something in, like you said, an authentication or an identity solution. There's great ones in the open source community that you can just bring in and use. Databases, you name it. There's probably a solution out there. I always say, only develop the secret sauce, the special sauce of your organization, like that thing that separates you from everyone else, the thing that only you have as an organization. Your special sauce isn't identity or databases or logging or all the things. It's a special sauce.
I've occasionally sort of explained that same idea. If you can't sell it, buy it. Like, you look at the thing that you and your team are working on right now, and you're like, is anyone going to give us money for this? And if they're not, then you should probably be building something that you can sell. And if that means that you've got to get your infrastructure and stuff off the metaphorical shelf, it's probably a much better way of doing it, right?
Exactly. And this is what usewhatworks.org is all about. It's a bunch of people coming together to say, hey, we want to share and get people to realize that one, open source is a valuable uh, community that they can lean on for their solutions. And two, uh, I say open source you can use, invite them as a quasi team or a member of your team, because you have the source code. Usually you get a decent interaction with the maintainers of that project, and you can help them guide if you need some new requirements. I always found that open source community is very open to new ideas, and where commercial might not listen to you, might not even acknowledge your plight, your issues. So I, I I think this just gives a lot of confidence to teams that are going into large projects.
I mean, talking about maintainers there, that's interesting because that gets onto another facet of what we're trying to do here is as well as providing, you know, I guess inspiration and support. Like we want to inspire people to make what we have concluded are sensible choices and help them do that and help them kind of make the case to their boss and, the rest of their team and everything. But also, one of the groups of people that's very significant in this space is the maintainers of those open source projects. And another pattern that has been playing out over and over again is, someone, they start a project, they make it open source. It's free as in beer, free as in speech. Here's the source code. Do what you like. And after a couple of years of that, they discover that success just means that you are drowning in pull requests and maintenance requests and all this kind of stuff. And so it's also about trying to, anybody out there who's creating something that has value and is thinking about open sourcing it, how do you kind of help them from day one be like, look,
Yeah.
you can make this thing free, but don't say now it will be free forever, because at some point you're probably going to want to see if you can use all this hard work to pay your bills. And we are going to have bills to pay for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
And, so this is another aspect of it is how do you kind of get those people to think in terms of, I don't want to be doing this by myself for free forever. I want there to be some kind of roadmap that gets from me doing this because it's fun to me doing this because it pays a little bit, to me doing this because I can hire an engineer to help with support, to me being able to take a vacation and know that I'm not, abandoning any of my commitments by doing that.
Exactly. And so you touched on kind of the economics of what we're trying to do. And from the maintainer, like you said, most of us are not natural business people. That's probably why we got into technology. But you have to learn how to kind of run a business. Like if you're a open source maintainer and you want to have some type of commercialization of your project, you have to understand some business side, at least creating a business and maybe keeping track of finances and invoices and all the stuff that comes along with trying, like you said, to build a business, to take a vacation. But from the other side, there are people also in the companies that you are building these solutions for. If you're a team of developers and infrastructure people and architects, they're signing those checks, and they want to sign as small a checks as possible and infrequently as possible. So there's also this idea everything has a price. So we need to take a look at both sides. Like I've actually had to sign checks and do budgets, and it's not the most fun thing in the world, but it's nice to say, hey, we, instead of $150,000, we're going to spend 50, and it's going to go towards a great open source project and help them sustain and drive this new venture that they started.
Yeah. And it's interesting, talking about signing checks. I'm completely independent now. I run an independent consultancy at a much, much smaller scale. I've never signed a check for 150,000, but you still, now it's just me. I'm like, do I want to pay for this or do I want to build it?
Yeah.
Because if I build it, I'm on the hook for it. And if I pay for it, then, I can say to the client, look, this thing is on a maintenance agreement. These are the people who are looking after it. This is how they work. And it's interesting how you can get a long way in this industry without ever thinking about money and business and stuff. But the thing that really opened my eyes to it, my team built this wonderfully, error-tolerant infrastructure on AWS with failover and Nginx clusters and all this kind of stuff. And the whole thing went down because we'd only put one credit card into it, and the credit card hit its limit. And that was the day I was like, you cannot ignore the commercials and the business and all that kind of stuff, because at a certain point, business continuity and fault tolerance is as much about that as it is about code and infrastructure.
Exactly. So, well, I think we've hit pretty much everything. I mean, we don't want to tell everyone everything. We want you to go out to usewhatworks.org to find for yourself more information. You can read about the different paths that our organization is kind of reaching out to different people in our industry. We have some blog posts, we have some articles. If you do want to sign your name to the manifesto, you can be a part of this. We're going to have regular meetings to go over, and we're going to try to be a alliance of people for the industry, not only for developers and architects and those business executives and tech leaders, but also the maintainers of the open source software projects.
And I think it's also, important just to maybe close on the note. Putting this together, it feels like maybe this is the end, but actually for everyone else, this is the beginning. And the direction that this thing takes and the traction that it gains, that's down to, what we wanted to do is put up a flag and say, look, if you are dealing with these or you're thinking along the same lines that we are, let's get together and share our ideas and our experience and, help one another along a little bit. So we're very excited to see where this goes. And head on over, usewhatworks.org, read what we got. Hey, if you don't like it, send us a pull request. Send us your ideas. Let us know what you think needs to be there.
Tell us what we're missing. We're always looking for new ideas. So exactly, usewhatworks.org, and we'll see you there.
Yeah, it's kind of like a little commercial, this, isn't it?
Yeah.
Usewhatworks.org. Anyway, take it easy, folks. We'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.